Hey everybody, Corey here again. Today we're going to talk about some things you as a guitarist can do during the pandemic. So the pandemic hasn't been fun for any of us, we all know that. We've seen people die, we've seen people sick, we've seen all kinds of things, we've seen businesses close, we've seen people fight with each other over stupid stuff like masks and whatnot. So I thought today we'd talk about some fun things we can do as musicians during a pandemic. Or not necessarily fun, but at least productive. My first idea for a guitarist is that you should start recording yourself. Now I'm not talking about recording giant songs and stuff like that. I'm just meaning when you're sitting around kind of noodling on your guitar a little, kind of making up your own little riffs, have your phone going with a voice recorder app. I've got one I use. That's a really valuable tool. How many times have you had a riff you played one night and thought, you know what, that's kind of cool, and then the next day can't remember to save your life? Maybe it'll wander back in some moment 6 months from now, but for the most part, they just vanish forever, and there you are. But having a recorder going can really help you. You don't necessarily have to sit there and record everything you're doing, but have it sitting there next to you where if you have a moment of, a minor flash of greatness, hit record and save it. And if you need to, maybe even talk to yourself in the memo about how you played it, where you're not having to go back and kind of figure it out from scratch like you're listening to a record or something. And those little memos can really help you. I've got a bunch of them saved where I've had a cool little lick I thought might be fun for the beginning of a video or maybe a song down the road or something. So it's a handy little tip. It's not going to change the world. It doesn't take a lot of work, but it gives you some stuff to go back and listen to. And that's something else you can do. If you record these already, go back and listen to some of those. See what you can make out of them. You've got a lot more free time right now because most people aren't going to bars, you aren't going to concerts, you aren't going to the movies. A lot of people aren't going to restaurants, depending on what part of the country you're in. And the way the numbers look, we're probably not going to be doing more of that in the next few months. So this is a good way to just kind of pull your creativity out of yourself and see what happens. Number 2, there's good guitar rock out there that you're missing. I'm not talking about a new album from Joe Walsh or Joe Satriani. I'm talking about good rock and roll guitar music, just like, well, actually it's very much like from the 70s. My task to you is check out 3 bands. If you don't know them already, check out Rival Sons, check out Dirty Honey, and check out the Darbys. All 3 of these bands are straight up guitar rock. It's like listening to bands from the 70s. It's almost not even modern music. Very much in a, I don't want to say in a Greta Van Fleet vein, because it's really nothing like that, but it is very much catchy guitar rock with good riffs and nice solos and all the things that we like to talk about not existing in music anymore. There's quite a bit of it out there, and there's bands that are worth your time to listen to. And all of these fit that bill, so make sure you do. Number 3, those guitars you have stuffed in cases, those amps you haven't drug out in months, get them out. Just because you didn't like something or the new wore off of it or whatever the case may be, 2 or 3 months after you got it, doesn't mean that there's not still quality gear in your house that you're not even using. So pull something out, slap a new set of strings on it. I did this recently with my SG. I'll link the video to that right here. And I have a just newfound love for that dang guitar. When I first got it, I played it all the time. You know how it is. And over a few weeks or a few months, it just sort of trickled down and trickled down and trickled down before suddenly it's been hanging in the same spot on my wall for 6 months, and I haven't touched it once. So going down, cleaning it up, making it play a little better, putting on some new strings, and it really revived my interest in that particular guitar. It's not like getting a new one, but it kind of is because you're not touching it. It's something different to add into your day-to-day mix of what you play every day. Same goes with amps. I have several I don't use that much. I have a Koch, I think that's how it's said. I don't know, we'll see. multi-tone. It's a 212 combo, 100 or 120 watts, I can't remember. But it's a really cool amp as well that I don't dig out that much. And but every time I do, I'm like, man, you know what? This is the most overall functional piece of guitar amplifier that I have. And I have a lot of fun with it. I love how it sounds. I love that it's, you know, boutique-y out of Mississippi. I think that's kind of neat. But I just don't get it out that much. I'm usually playing through either my JCM 900 or my Fender Bassman. Those are kind of my two go-tos right now. But that changes from time to time. So dig through your equipment, see what's laying around. Even an audio interface you haven't hooked up yet, or a pedal. You never know. It's like finding something new without having to go to the music store. Number 4, this is the perfect time to get in the habit of performing some more regular routine maintenance on your guitars. This is such simple stuff to do, and if you don't know how, this is a great time to learn. I've got a few videos of me working on various things, but they're not really walking you through a setup or anything like that. If you want one of those, I suggest checking out a Phil McKnight video on his channel. It's called Know Your Gear. He has some fantastic stuff about how to do a setup, things like that. I'll also try to link to that if I can remember. But there's a lot of stuff that you can just handle yourself. You know, you can change strings. Unless it's Floyd Rose. If it's Floyd Rose, I don't care what your tech charges, it's worth the money. But that's beside the point. But there's a ton of little maintenance things you can do that will make it play better, from maybe making sure your tuners are significantly greased up, all your little screws are tight back there, your tuner ferrules are tight on the front, that your guitar is properly intonated. You can very much, in little pieces, learn to do each of these things. And this is a good time. Why not make your instruments play better while you're bored? Seems sensible to me. Number 5. And this really should have been number 1, but I stuck it at number 5 because I know you won't watch the rest of this video if I set it at number 1. But there's always time for practice. And more of it now than ever before. Instead of just sitting down and noodling around all the time, you can still do that. But make sure that you devote some time to actually practicing a technique. Whether it's, you know, scales or nailing down hammer-ons and pull-offs a little better if you're new. Learning to work through your bar chords. This is a perfect time to get better at those things. And I've done a lot of that during this pandemic, and I believe it's made me a better player. Truth is, I've practiced more than I have in ages. I play a lot, but I don't sit down and just work through the fundamentals, things like that, like I should be, and I know that. And I know lots of players who don't either, so I'm talking to you, whoever you are. Make sure that you spend some time learning your instrument. Learn notes in different places, chords in different places. Learn to find your way around the fretboard in ways that you haven't before. There's tons of knowledge about this stuff on YouTube that's super simple and will help you become a better foundational guitarist, which will make things like learning eruption, if that's your goal, easier. So take some time and do both of those. All in all, that's about it. I thought, you know, it's been a dull year. You know, sports are different, television's different. We're watching episodes of people shot at home on iPhones and crap now. There aren't concerts to go to. In a lot of cities, there aren't bars to visit. So take this time and make yourself a better guitarist. It'll pass the time, and it'll be in a way that is productive for you and your playability in the long run. That's about it for this week. I thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell. You know the routine. We'll be back next week with some other cool stuff. We'll see you next time.